Make sure. Still setting up, redirecting.
Mm-hmm.
Verifying. We're live.
Welcome, everyone, to another Friday night comedy show, returning after a short hiatus. Now we are joined by Montosaurus Dean Rex and Melissa Hocking Hughes once again for a comedy show that will challenge those with a stick so far up their rear end, because I can't say anything in the first 8 to 15 seconds swear word wise, or the 16,500 words that YouTube doesn't like will kill the channel. Welcome, guys, back to the show.
Well, hello.
2023.
Yes, it is. Well, we could always just I won't make jokes like that. So I'm going to stop there.
I want to time travel back to 2009 and start in YouTube there, get extremely famous and rich, and then once it starts to get crappy, that we're going through like 2016, we move on to something else. Like Steven Crowder. Yeah.
And
if people are asking, what are the 16,500 words YouTube doesn't want you to say? We can't say them. Yes. Last week, they put out a list of 16,500 words you cannot say in the first 15 seconds of the show.
It's like, which I'd love to bring up, but I'm going to use those words, so I'm not going.
Exactly. That's part of the trap. What words can't you say? Well, and the stream's gone.
And I'd love to talk about how, but we can't. And then there's an no, we can't talk about that either. But it's actually, that reminds me, what was that? That's a Seinfeldian thing, isn't it? We can't talk about that, or
can't talk about that. Can't talk about that. Can't talk about that. Just so you know, next show that we do, we'll be doing shows every other Friday. Next show we do will be Rumble exclusive, where we'll be able to let it rip.
Let's get ready to rumble, you would say.
Yes, let's get ready to rumble.
With the full vocabulary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Watch them ban the rumble word.
WWE's in a lot of trouble.
No, goodness me. Poor old YouTube trying to bury itself. I don't know. The things that we're doing.
It's facing lawsuits galore that are going to challenge Section 230 hardcore, and it's about time. They can't get away with, what they're doing, and I don't want to say what they're doing because they'll get me banned.
Well, let's go for a slight sidestep. Let's get a bit woo-woo.
Okay, go.
With what's happening on the planet, there has to be some type of balance, if that makes sense. Like, Andrew and I have talked about this off air, where the League Dark, some people in the alternative community is like, oh, they're rushing, they know something's coming, and it's like, no, it's actually arrogance. They think they're getting away with it, and so you're going to have these moments where there's pushback. Like, can I say Twitter files? Is that all right?
See, I don't know. I haven't memorized the list.
No, we haven't memorized all the 16,000.
Yeah. But 3,455 word Twitter. Damn it. But there's usually, this is what helps me with dealing with living on this planet. There's always that pushback. I mean, there's a slow grind, as David Icke says, there's that slow totalitarian tiptoe. But at the same time, that's part of the plan for them to fail type thing, because evil usually destroys evil because it's stupid.
So how do we get the totalitarians to stub their toe on a tiptoe?
Legos.
Yeah,
Legos.
Throw Legos in front of them.
Micro machines, they're even better. They're as hard as a Lego, but they've got wheels.
Yeah. They slide and you crush your toe and lose your balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta ask the mother about what toy to take yourself out on, really.
You're in trouble. You're in trouble when you're walking and all of a sudden you see your toes at eye level. Like, wait a minute. That time slows down real hardcore then.
Look, I've just spent the last week in the surf, and so I've experienced that quite a lot. There's been a lot of, I don't think my backside's meant to be in that direction. Am I upright?
Where am I?
Yes, Yeah, while underwater. Which direction ended it up? What the? But yeah, nothing like a good wipeout.
Yeah. So I would have come along, but I don't like salt water. I'm a freshwater Pisces, and it's salt. No, not a fan of the sea.
I've been accidentally off grid. And someone said to me last night when I finally came back into the world of reception and internet and everything, someone said, "Oh my God, you went off grid for like 10 days." Didn't mean to. It wasn't intentional at all.
You got knocked out.
I got this brilliant heavenly break of just up at it was just brilliant fun. I mean, if I started recounting what I've done in the last 10 days, it's been unfreaking believably awesome. And except I couldn't tell anyone. You mean like posted on Facebook? I think I did put one post up there because my 10-year-old daughter took a picture of me surfing literally in my pajamas. I was on the very first morning. I got up in the morning. We're at this tiny little beach shack on this really remote beach, and there'd been this sort of musical beds in the middle of the night where everyone couldn't sleep because people were snoring and stuff. And a couple of people went into a room where all of the bags, where all the gear was, and they were fast asleep. So I've got up and I had to do a Zoom at ridiculous o'clock in the morning. And I couldn't get into any of my gear. So I've had to go over to the beach to do it so I didn't wake up anyone. And then I'm in my PJs. And so, like, no, none of the hair in the face or anything. And so I'm sitting on the beach, and all these people in the other beach shacks that we've known forever were all coming over and saying hello and everything. And the boys came over with the surfboards. I'm sitting there in my jammies talking to people just on the phone, to people all over the world. And I was so jealous because the waves were perfect and the boys were out there, and I'm sitting there like trying not to drool while I'm talking to people on Zoom. And so literally the minute I got off the Zoom call, they ran over and gave me a board, and I ran out in my PJs. And so my 10-year-olds came looking for me, my 10-year-old twins. So they took a photo of this black speck out in the surf, which was me in my jammies.
I saw that photo. I like how your higher self was like, okay, that's enough. Bink.
It just got better and better from there. But I actually this is genuine, true story, out in the surf, off the board, chatting to everyone just between the breaks. Like you sort of go behind the first break, second break's back, second sandbar's back. And we're all just chatting away, having a bit of a swim. And this beach is renowned for its sharks because it's just a beautiful beach. And sure enough, I felt this huge whack, and there's these big, wasn't a great white, it was a bronze whaler. If you look up a bronze whaler shark, they're still pretty damn big, and they're beautiful. And this one literally sort of went kunk into me, and I wasn't in a wetsuit, I was in my PJs. So that, they haven't mistaken me for a seal or anything. Let's bear in mind, everyone, sharks don't hunt humans. But so it's okay. I actually have the graze. I've got a graze on my hip, because shark skin it's like sandpaper. They've actually got, microscopically, if you look at shark skin's got little teeth all over it, and it's and so I've got a graze on my hip that was a shark that ran into me, and oh dear. Sorry, just urgent phone call came through there. But sorry about that, phone call from one of the hospitals. But yeah, that was on sort of day one, where I've had this shark go dunk into me and say hello. By the way, I want your attention. Can you look up my shamanism? I'm here to give you a message. And
exactly. Can you give me a reading?
And it's like, and it was just, it was this brilliant, right from day one, I'd been told to just let go, like to let go of everything I thought I had to do and everything I had to be. And it was funny because none of the guys and I panicked. Like I just said, I said, something just ran into you. What the hell was that? And we've all looked down and gone, oh, because it's a pretty big shadow in the water. And so we all just sort of sat there watching it, and she just drifted off and did her thing as she would. She's just there to say, trying to get your attention. And so
she had somebody she needed to work on. You're like, hey, I've got a shark friend in the shark hospital. Can you come visit?
Heard you were a healer. Could you come
Heard you were a healer. You work on sharks.
And Andrew and I know what Melissa has been doing for the last 15 years, and that's not stopping. And
Yes.
it's a mini version of humanity, like, with I can say lockdowns, can I? Is that all right? Or it got to be when humanity paused a couple of years ago? I'll say it that way. I remember asking Andrew when we started doing this show, like, when was the last time humanity sort of globally paused? And Andrew's like, 7 million years ago. I'm like, oh, all right, yeah. So needed a rest.
Yes, this is going to be 2023 is going to be a fantastic year to observe. It's going to be so much radical shift and change, and everything comes to own itself now. Like they've talked about the last few years about how everything's coming out, and these totalitarian or draconian or these misplaced now forms of governing and management and ownership and dominance. Everyone said over all these years how that's going to be erased. All these inappropriate forms of control are going to be, annihilated and cancelled out. It's probably all been in the creation over the last couple of years, but this year we're going to see the fall. You're actually going to see what goes down. You're going to see what comes up in place of it. And it's funny, like the last 10, I wish I could tell you about these last 10 days, but the wisdom that's come out of the last 10 days of communication and the places it's come from has just been hysterical. I tell you, I could write a whole other book again about just these last 10 days, starting from, oh, by the way, bumped into a shark. But it was...
it's a good way to start a book. So there I was in my PJs on a board.
You want to hear something? Here's something irony. In 2013, 2014, when I was doing shows with Sean Stone, I was trying to describe to him what the 2020s and late 2018s was going to be like. And he was just completely, no way. I'm like, it's going to be the Three Stooges, like the Three Stooges show. And I kept trying to explain to him, like, the whole level of the propaganda is going to self-expose itself. And it's going to be a comedy of errors left and right, which is what we're seeing now.
That's what we're saying. Yeah.
The Speaker of the House and globally worldwide in governments everywhere. They just cannot handle the masses of people doing what they want to do when it's not the mind programming and the controlling and social engineering that they want everyone to follow isn't working. Especially on the people who are in the government.
Yeah.
I remember.
That's happening. As you say, there's the stuff we can see, and then there's the stuff that we can't. It's happening all over the planet. But what we can see, and particularly at the current state where they're trying to elect a speaker, I'm trying not to laugh while I'm talking about that. But it is comedic. It is. I'm really, as I've said to a lot of people, I've just been online since like 7 a.m. this morning on Zooms everywhere. But as I said to other people, I'm sorry if you've seen me speaking somewhere earlier today, but it's not a room I want to be in. I wouldn't want to be in there casting a vote. But it is a great room.
I won't be anywhere near that swamp.
How many votes are they up to now? How many votes? How many votes have they had?
15.
Oh my God. And is he still
now? And now he's threatening not to let anyone go home over the weekend.
A phenomenal tantrum thrower. He is just the master.
What's really funny is they knew four congressmen weren't going to show up to vote because they have family issues, but in all reality, they're not showing up for a bigger reason, which is they don't want to be a part of the vote because they're in a particular type of race. If they vote one way or the other, they're going to lose their constituency. Okay. Okay. So what's really going on is the level of horse wrangling and things that are being done has basically reached a point where how much power has he truly given away? Are we going to see counter investigations that the Freedom Caucus has been asking for? Apparently, yes. Apparently, yes, with some other things. But I believe he's giving promises he can't keep. And one of the big promises is he has to vacate if one member of the Congress can bring it to the floor. And the old rule before it had to be a certain percentage, like 20% had to bring it, which was an impossible number to remove the speaker. So now one person and the rules committee. So ultimately, he won't stay there. Even if he gets in, the first big thing where he doesn't do what he promises, somebody will do a vote of no confidence, just like with the parliamentarian, they'll remove him.
Well, it's not just that. It's also, as much as he's made promises that we know that he can't follow up on. He's
a party establishment. But
he's also made threats.
Yes, lots of threats.
if he gets into power, will come to light.
So some of his text messages that got released says he wants to be able to fund the endless wars in the place I cannot say.
That's right, in a word you can't say. But
just say outside the United States.
We can't talk about that.
Yes,
just outside the United States.
Tune in ethereally with us, and we'll tell you where that is. But it's but just think endless, and it'll give you a fair roundup. But I
like that German chap who was good at maths. Albert Einstein. Have you heard of him?
Mm-hmm. That other guy. Yeah, that other German.
Yeah. He was good at maths. So no. You're thinking of the Austrian, but anyway, Einstein said, the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again and hoping for a different outcome.
Result.
Yes. And you said 15 times they voted.
Yes.
I mean, it's showing it's showing the negative side of. Look, it's pure democracy. Yeah. 16 votes now.
So
when do we define this as bullying?
No, it is bullying at the highest level. But the thing is, the established oligarchy is demanding the Republicans fall into line or else, and that's why this is happening this way. The established oligarchy, because who's on the phone when they have these meetings in between votes? The donor class that are saying, I want my bill passed. The big tech and pharma companies who want their medicines accepted in unacceptable ways, because I can't say any more about that without risking a channel. But ultimately, the best line I heard was when Matt Gaetz said, you can't elect if you want to drain the swamp, you can't elect an alligator.
Yeah, man.
And he is truly an alligator. He is a swamp creature.
Yeah. Here's an interesting question.
Kit just mentioned something in the chat room. The dispute over the whole nuclear submarine thing with Australia, sorry, in case you didn't know that's where the accent's from, is that's not in threat at all. They're trying to, I guess, divert or misdirect, but it's not in threat at all. There's actually a lot more parties involved than they thought. So it's actually pretty fascinating. Can we say submarine? I've got to check the list.
Yes, we can. Now, there's something interesting. There's something interesting about that that they don't know. When Biden got in there and screwed the deal up, he screwed up the deal that was for the military industrial complex to bilk $30 billion out of Australia for submarines that were going to be obsolete by the time they got to them. Now they're going to get obsolete, the submarines that will go obsolete within a year. Okay. And still be losing $30 billion. The thing is, the Raytheon Corp that builds the nuclear subs that they're going to do, excuse me, the amount of money they're going to make on just selling parts alone will keep them in business for another 100 years. That's why that was interrupted like that. And everybody that was a part of the military industrial complex flipped out and started calling him senile, screwing this deal up.
I just had a mental flash of you bring in a submarine for repairs and the Australian naval mechanic. Yeah, can you bring it back Thursday?
Yep, exactly. Bring back Thursday. We're a little busy right now.
The cricket's on. So Thursday,
that's right.
It'll be awesome. Yeah.
This is Australia shuts down over because of course we're in the midst of summer and it's a pretty awesome one, I must say. But in the midst of summer, when we hit Christmas, New Year's, it's summer. Australia kind of shuts down for about 4 to 6 weeks over Christmas, New Year's, because it's the summer holidays for school. It's all of that sort of stuff. Trying to get anything done at the moment with them would be that, oh, no, mate, we're not open until the 16th. It's
because in the Northern Hemisphere, summer is in the middle of the year. That's why your school year is over 2 years and ours is in the actual calendar. And we're Australian, and we're the great brown land, a land of sweeping plains and sunburnt and racism, and basically it's like, oh, I'm not going to work. Have you seen outside? The surf's going off.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
But it's I want to say to Santo, who's complimented my hair, my hair's in shock, Santo. This is what's happened. It's shocked its own curl out. I did not literally have not touched my hair for, I think it was 8 straight days. All it had copped was me rinsing off under a freshwater shower on the beach. But I've actually got back into so-called civilization. one of the first things I did was, as one of my daughters said, have a shower that doesn't feel like a 96-year-old man pissing on your back. Oh, can I say that? Sorry, I swore.
But you can say back. But saying back's all right.
This was the P word. I don't know. But because that's all we had, like this tiny little piddly shower. And so yeah, my hair's in shock because it's actually been washed, Santo. So I actually blow dried it. So thanks for the compliment.
I'm having an interesting time as well because like I'm battling my psoriasis. I'm trying to make friends with it, then just like it doesn't care, and so I beat the crap out of it. But I finally went to very male Australian thing. Maybe you should see a doctor. No, my leg's fine. It's broken in 3 places. I'll walk it off. It's all right. Just calm down, mate. So I went to. I might now. Andrew will be able to help me out there because I'm on steroids, ladies and gentlemen. I'm on my second day of steroids and it's working. I've got way too much energy. But Andrew, I haven't factored this in. It's a full moon as well. My higher self is taking the piss.
Monty is going to turn into a werewolf here in just a little bit.
Yeah. So all those lady werewolves, be careful.
Be careful.
There's a lot of energy.
He may be dry humping your leg over the online.
And a solar storm, a full moon. I'm still dealing with when did I see Donna, Melissa? What, about 4 years ago? 4 or 5 years ago.
Dad.
Yeah, and she activated my sex drive. I'm like, thanks for that. So and I found out that I'm lonely. So if you mix that all together, I just let me say, do not look at my browser history.
It means you could knock the top of a mountain off with your phallic symbol.
Oh yes. I'm not saying that I'm frustrated, but I can break porcelain if you know what I mean.
I don't know if I can say these words now.
I wanted to bring that up with you. I actually mentioned to a couple of groups this morning when I mentioned we were doing this today, that you recently, in your lazy time lordness, dropped the lazy for a second and switched timelines with purpose.
Yeah, I noticed it. I was like, whoa, look at him go. Fly, Monty, fly.
Before you go on.
You're getting an inkling of what his motivation was, everyone.
Let me just say, well, I'll explain it like Nick Marsden, the drummer from Pink Floyd, when in the late 70s, they were having issues with one of the band members, Roger Waters. And
always.
Well, I mean, for the next 6 years, they were in legal battles. Everyone knows, well, the people that know Pink Floyd know that Roger and the other guys had a disagreement. We'll go there. But Nick actually said, it got that bad, we nearly said something. That's how I got to change my timeline. It's got that bad, like, fine, I'll get Abba off the couch and I'll go to the TARDIS.
Yeah, I'll fire up the TARDIS.
Yeah, well, right. It's like, my cat yelling at me for 4 hours is like, she just wants to go outside, but she does it from the other end of the house. It's like, I have a breaking point. So that's basically, So apparently I've changed timelines and that's that fallout and everything else like that. And
no, we want to hear the fallout. What happened?
I'm in the middle of it. I'm in the middle of it. I don't know.
Well, there are mountaintops that have no tops on them.
I have recently watched Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and the Devil's Thingy Tower, which could have been an ancient tree, but it's like a plateau. There's no mountaintops, just boom, straight across. But I worked in a warehouse for 3 months. And I walked 10 kilometers a day, which is around about 6 miles, I think. It's about 6 miles ish.
Yeah, about that.
So 40 kilometers a week. And I lost the weight, and my body has been writing very upset letters to me ever since. And of course, you got because losing the weight released toxins, and then the psoriasis, and then blah blah blah. And I had money, so I went out and nothing. Drank a lot of beer, let me just say, like that. So,
but you got to say the whole line that you use. I called you up and you're like at the bar at like 7 o'clock in the morning. You're like, give me the cheapest beer you got.
Oh yeah. I'm a classy dude. It's like, what's your cheapest pint of beer? I'll have one of those things. Mind you, in Australia with the cost of living, it's like, yeah, fair enough. Well played, mate. There isn't not many people are judging other people on money because they know everyone's been hit hard because it's gotten to the point, Melissa, I don't know if you noticed, on Boxing Day, that's the day after Christmas for people from Australia, not Australia and England. It's not a sport.
The English have Boxing Day. It's everyone else in the world that doesn't understand Boxing Day.
Well, that's where we got it from. And petrol went up 30 cents a litre.
Oh my God, yes. No, 45 cents a litre, most places. It just bang, overnight, flew up. Dear God, the price of petrol. And it's up again suddenly now. But it's
around where I'm at, it's down to 187. It went from 168 on Christmas Day to 199. And
Christmas Eve, I got it for $1.53. Oh, yeah. How good was that?
Now, for our
You've got a car as big as mine.
American cousins, it's roughly 4.5 liters into a gallon. So if you want to do the maths, it's like I think I was talking to Andrew. It's like I think it's $9 a gallon.
About $9 a gallon.
Yeah. And so I mean, you don't get cuddled after being screwed at the. I like that. I think when Biden in the prices like in the last year, like I was robbed just 20 minutes ago. Oh, what happened? I bought petrol for my car.
Yes, got robbed by buying petrol.
And what I find interesting, like as Kit just said, the big squeeze is on. It's. Do you think humanity is going to do the Chinese style of things? Like we'll put up with a lot of things till we don't. And that's the other thing about, League Dark losing, because like you can't push humanity into a corner without someone going, right, getting off the couch and walking over to the TARDIS console. And like, there's going to be this backlash. But we have to wait for it. Or a certain cat video that Andrew has prophesized.
I have prophesized we are one cat video away from the Great Awakening.
which is very similar
to
Melissa's friend Wayne Dyer. Or sorry, Dr. Wayne Dyer, I should give respect. You're one thought away from, is it paradise? How does he actually say it? You're one thought away from the best life you can have. I think that's his. I'm misquoting him.
Life of your dreams or something. I think it is.
Yeah. It's something.
His
But the thing is,
as much as I was his friend, I probably can't quote him too often. But yeah.
No. But what I'm getting to is, no one knows what that thought is because it's all unique and you have to find it yourself. Like I've got a friend who hasn't spoken to me since August because I said, what you should do is on a soul level, make a choice that you want to get better. Now, your demons are going to erupt and she hasn't spoken to me since August.
Nothing like a bit of truth to clear the deck. Bit of truth clears the deck, I find. Yeah, a bit of truth telling. But it's
that fun part of like being miserable, don't you? It's like, shut up.
I need a paper list of the words we're not allowed to say.
Listen, I looked at the list, and most of them are so non-sweary wordy. I mean, I don't want to. I mean, I'm
that's
trying
where
to
the risk is, though.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Most of it is about the C word.
Oh,
the censoring word. They don't want you to refer to that either. Okay.
Because I was going to talk to someone that's very well, or about someone that is very wealthy that might have kind of a flavoring of musk. Are we allowed to talk about that?
Yes, we can talk about Elon all we want. Yeah.
Oh, we can. Okay, good.
Yeah, we can talk about Elon. Really, he's hated now, so he's fine.
Yeah, that was one of the worst ways of trying to use code, Melissa, by saying his name.
No, I said it was a flavor.
Of Musk, his last name.
That's right. I didn't have a capital letter on it.
Really?
Musk is not actually a flavor.
No, you could have said
it's a scent. That's right.
You should have said a certain flavor of scent or deodorant. Yeah.
Anyway, how's he going?
I don't know.
Me sure Musk is having fun with his Twitter files and is making fun of all the news channels that don't want to cover it because they're afraid if they cover it, it's gonna admit what they have to admit, the shit they don't want to admit.
And I find it fascinating that Elon doesn't use, like, you have certain cards you can play, and he never uses the African American card because he is an African American. Pale as a mother, but still, he's an African and he's in America.
What I found really funny a couple months ago, when he wanted to do the whole vote on Twitter about the Ukrainian word, and all the people were voting for war, and then they tried to hardcore attack him. He said, "Sure, I'm going to pull your Starlink." No Starlink, no Ukraine. Okay. Yep. All of a sudden they all had to eat, bro. Yeah, fuck it. It's just demonized right now.
So we're allowed to say, and I'm not good at the pig Latin, so I'm not even going to try that.
No, it's actually. Can we say East Russia? Oh, sorry.
No, you can say Ukraine. You just can't attach it to the conspiracies that are with it.
All right. Okay. So from now on, it's East Poland. It's like you've got Taiwan and West Taiwan. Which the Chinese
we can call it the West Black Sea.
I find it one thing I find interesting is, why is Musk allowed to do all this stuff? Because like 20 years ago, there was a documentary, about 24 years ago now, 1999. Yes, I'm from the 20th century, but I time travel. Remember the documentary Who Killed the Electric Car, narrated by Martin Sheen? And then in less than 2 decades, Elon's a god because he has the Teslas out there.
It's fascinating. A god. He's not a god anymore. The Democrats have taken his godship away.
Yeah, give it 17 days.
Have you seen how the Tesla stock has dropped? Oh, yes, my God.
But that was going to happen. Drop. That was going to happen anyways, because what's going on in China?
Words that you're pulling off the list now.
Yeah, no. I can say China. I just can't say what's happening in China.
No. West Taiwan, please.
West Taiwan. Okay.
Or what's currently now to get on planes and
it's getting ready for the China New Year, West Taiwanese New Year.
Well,
thank you, Monty. I better remember that.
They're certainly spreading the fireworks around this time.
They are definitely spreading the sparklers around everywhere.
That's right. Let's send the global sparklers out
and the floating candles. Yeah, and the floating candles.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone follows me on the socials. I've actually removed 3 apps from my phone. It's really weird. I've got all this time now. But on New Year's Eve, I just I tweeted something, and then I take a photo of that and put it on Instagram and Facebook. And all it says was, "Happy Calendar Day, peasants." And some people liked it and got the joke. But that's
and then it was banned.
Yeah, well, no, it's still there. I'm not well known yet. But that's basically, New Year's Eve. Unless I'm working, I just stay home, and it was a Saturday night for me. And the next day is Calendar Day, which brings me like the end of 2012 with the Mayan calendar. I just had this because the Gregorian, what was it, Gregorian? That one. Yeah, you have to change the calendar. Julian calendar. Yeah. Every 12 months, you have to change the calendar. But with the Mayan calendar, it is 5,000 years long, and it just starts again. And I just had this image of driving down a road with all these peoples that have thrown out their Mayan calendars, 5-ton stones on the front line. And like, you can still use that, right?
Yeah.
To get the fact that it's
again.
You could turn that into flooring, That would be great tile work.
Yeah, it would be a fascinating water feature in the backyard. I'm just saying.
But that was always, wasn't that like 2012 was all the end of everything? Actually, it is the end. Good job. It's now it starts like, and
but that was the media, because I remember
it was never said. It was never said. By the way,
no, that's what I was trying to get at. I remember talking to someone at a job that I had. It's like the whole 2012 thing. It was like, the Mayans got it wrong. It's like, no, they got it right. The media just took it as like the end, and they just ran with it, and they pushed that whole narrative. And the Mayans are like, no, it's not like the planet's not going to explode and we all evaporate. It's just like changing the channel. Like you're still watching TV. We're just on channel 10 now, not channel 9.
Mm-hmm. And all those.
But you remember the turn of the millennium? The turn of the millennium, where everyone's like, we're all going to die. Yeah,
I was so disappointed. Yeah, I was living in Clayton, and luckily I had Foxtel in my bedroom. It was like, this is awesome. And as here in Australia, because one of the first, we flipped over to 2000. Nothing happened. Well, there's fireworks and everything else like that. Nothing happened because conspiracy and Y2K. And over the next 16 hours on the hour, Foxtel will be showing all the celebrations like in Tokyo and then Bombay or Mumbai, and it's like nothing. Oh, this is a jip.
Nothing's going down. What's going on? And I remember someone saying to me, "Oh yeah, end of 1999. Oh my God, we're all going to die and all the rest." And I said, "No, humans invented math. That's not how this works." And so then there was a whole theory when I said, "Look, humans invented math, and the Gregorian calendar is not actually based." No. And then they've gone, "But you couldn't talk truth, God forbid." And
back then you couldn't talk truth, or they burnt you at the stake or hung you, or worse. Drawn and quartered.
Apparently, I've had many a past life of that. Yeah. But they, it was. I still remember saying to people, just try and just be a little bit logical about it. Mm-hmm. But it's try and just do, given the humans invented math, be mathematical about it. But it was.
It's fun to have fun with the racist as well, if you like. Racism. Like, what's the time? Blah blah blah. All those numbers are Arabic. 1 to 9 and 0, they're all Arabic symbols. And I found out as well, I've started, how sometimes you have a 7 with a crossbeam.
Mm-hmm. I do that.
Yeah, I do that as well, because sometimes it looks like a fat leaning one.
Yeah.
So it's that. The original symbols were the amount of angles in each thing. So 1 and then 2, 3, 4, and 7 with the crossbeam. There's 7 angles to the symbol. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So have fun with racists. Like, it's like I've been watching Yellowstone, like all of it, and it's interesting seeing how the Native Americans are treated on the res and everything else like that. And well, we hate, and you get the cranky ones. We hate the white man and everything they stand for. It's like, well, take your genes off and turn the power off, because white man brought that to you. Like, we're not 100% bad. It's probably about 3% of awesome, but that's just how my brain works.
You just reminded me, because you guys both said I should watch that in my break. And of course I had, God knows there was no streaming where I was. There was no communication. The cool thing about where I was, because it was just, there was a whole lot of reasons why we were off grid without meaning to be off grid. But every now and then I was able to get through to someone and message someone. And I just thought, wow, that's the person I meant to talk to, because then everything would shut down again. And it was just, so I think I messaged Andrew once. And then they couldn't get through to anyone. But I was going to say, around the end of last year, as we're going through December, just before Christmas, everyone starts sending their mail outs, their email blasts out. And everyone kept talking about this past decade. And I'm thinking, that's an untidy decade to pick. Like, they just kept talking about how terrible, how horrible, how brutal this last decade's been. And it was always very morose, very down. But it sort of took me a second to go, the last decade, they're actually using the correct calendar. Like, they've gone back to 2012. It's like, look at you guys. I wonder if they even knew that, or they're just saying the last 10 years. But it was like, the
latter.
I actually liked that they were going for the last decade. It took me a while to sort of think back, because I have identical twins that were born in 2012. They freaking love that. They love that they were born in 2012, that they were born in the year of the Golden Dragon, in the Chinese year. So they think they're legends. They love bringing up that they were born in the year of the Golden Dragon. Mum's just a rat. So
Mom's a rat.
Mum's a rat.
That's got to be endlessly played in your house, isn't it?
It comes up.
I'm a wood tiger myself.
Mm-hmm. That's when you say you got to live up to being dragons. You just can't be lazy.
That's right. Not just your average dragon, the golden dragon.
That means shine, you got a lot to live up to.
Yeah, being a hermit, being a wood tiger and being a hermit makes perfect sense to me now. Where are you? If you see, all right, there's a photo, and if you zoom in, you can see the end of my tail behind a tree. Called Garfield.
Someone else. Oh, that's great. Someone else is a rat too. We can bring up too many jokes that you're a wood tiger after all the phallic discussion earlier. That's just there's just too many things we can say about why you would.
I would if I could.
Mhm.
But I'm like a tiger.
But maybe we should put out there for some advice, because Monty's had the most wonderful parade of gorgeous women through his life, and he just kept
Fucking it up is the term you're looking for. Fucking it up.
That's exactly what it was. I thought Andrew would jump in with that.
No, it's like that joke.
I will leave him be.
You know that joke of there's a
I've had my parade too. All right.
It's like that great joke about God, and there's a God-loving man. I'm going to say God-loving man on top of a house, and it's flooded up to the roof. And he's standing there, and someone, a log goes by, and he's like, "I'll stay here." And then a friend comes over in a boat. It's like, "Get in, no, the Lord will provide for me." And they go off, and then a helicopter comes over. Oh no, the Lord provided.
I told this joke this morning.
Yeah, and then, I'm doing the short version because it's one of those jokes you could go on forever.
Yeah,
and that's to build it. Yep, that's to build the tension. But to release the tension is like, so the man finally dies, and he's up in heaven and meets God. It's like, why didn't you help me, Lord? I've prayed and I've followed you for all my life. Well, I sent you a log, a boat, a helicopter. It's like you have to take those opportunities.
Yeah, what else do you want?
Yeah. No, I used the exact same joke this morning when I was talking about people, when you're manifesting in your life, or QBI, we call it create, because that's what you're doing. You're creating, you're actually roadmapping the life. But and in it, you've got to take action where action is. Like when you can't just sit back going, all right, I'm manifesting my partner for life. You can't be a hermit, stay in your room and think, unless it's the UPS man coming to your door, he's not going to come and knock on your door, right? Your partner's not. You've actually got where an action step's put in front of you, or where an action's required, you take that action for what you've created in your life. And that's what I was saying. I said the same joke about the guy that said, no, God's going to save me. I've prayed and he's going to save me. Missed the boat, missed the dinghy, missed the helicopter.
Yeah.
And I said everything. What more could I do? But it was,
see, I can't say now that, there's no women out there, because I've met 20 of them in 3 weeks.
So I got a little truth tidbit here. So you know how Bonnie's had his string. I've had my string too. But I've also had to have these reflective moments. And one thing that I determined, the next woman who randomly shows up in a place they shouldn't be naked, I'm throwing water on them. Because I have learned, do not let that happen anymore. Throw water on them, kick them out. No more. Too many bad things happen with that.
Yeah, it could be a fantasy, but that's because it's a fantasy. In real life, it's like stalker.
Yeah, or worse.
It's hard to draw the line. It's hard to draw that line these days.
Exactly.
As my friend Nick would say, and it's from remember the movie Fatal Attraction?
Yes. Let's just say it's happened enough times that I've had to have this reflection and the answer to the reflection when it happens again.
Yeah, they're called bunny boilers. That's the saying that came from that movie, because Glenn Close has an affair with Michael Douglas, and it's just a one night thing for him, and she goes nuts, and in about quarter of the way, 3/4 of the way through the thing, she boils the family's pet rabbit. Yeah. So a bunny boiler. There you go. You've learned something today, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. But I didn't need to revisit that movie. Oh, God, she was terrifying. But no, it's very hard. It's she did it bloody well. But the me and dating, I'm so out of the habit. I don't know. It's so like I've got no idea. I'm really no clue if someone's hitting on me. And as you guys know, like Monty and Andrew know that I'm a friendly person, and I am actually, as much as I might sound harsh, I am actually a generous person, like a kind person. And so I'm I chat to everyone, and the amount of times that's been mistaken as me flirting with them. And to the point that in the past 10 days, I've actually had to say to someone, no, dude, I was just being polite.
I've been in this exact same situation. Do you
really
this is
not me flirting.
No. Do you really not know? Because I had to ask myself that question too.
It was just, maybe I don't know if I'm not open to her or what at the moment, or whether I just don't have time.
Exactly. I've been right there, had to answer that exact same question.
To be on the other side,
really not know. You
being
do.
On the other side of
you're ignoring it.
Being on the other side of that situation is extremely lonely. Any bit of attention is like, oh, they love me. It's like, it's a 7-Eleven. Get out. Get your coffee and bugger off.
I even, in one of the rare moments that I actually did get reception and everything, I went into town to get food, and I honestly couldn't tell you what I looked like. I can tell you that there was like, most of you guys know that the hair just curls, and I'm lucky that I look the way that I look. It doesn't sort of require a lot of effort. And so, but there was no makeup or anything. I've gone in, hit the markets, grabbed all the food, walking out to the supermarket, and this man came over and started asking me, this is in the car park in the supermarket. And this man's come over and started asking me if I knew any great places to eat locally. I said, look, I'm not a local. No, I don't. And, but I said, look, I've driven past, some great places that came in here. Go and have a look. He's going, oh yeah, I'm not a local either. And I said, aren't you? And he's like, I'm looking at his car and stuff thinking, this guy's a local. And he's like, yeah, I'm not either. Yeah. And he said, it's a shame you don't know any, because I'd take you to one for dinner. I can't even imagine what I looked like. Or maybe this wasn't a small town.
This isn't about what you thought you looked like. It's about what he thought you looked like. And you knew what he was doing.
No, I didn't.
You knew when he walked up, he was not being friendly. No. You knew when he walked up, he was not being friendly.
Oh, no. Well, that's just it. I didn't see him walking up. He followed me. And you guys know I've got a history in the military. This guy is so lucky he wasn't garroted. He's just like, as soon as he goes, oh, do you know any local places? And I'm doing I'm surrounded by amazing people, having an awesome time down on the beach with everyone. And I'm just super friendly because I'm still in that mode. So I was like, no, I don't actually know, I'm not local. And then he's going, oh yeah, because, and I've just gone, okay, no, just keep walking.
Yeah, keep going.
Just keep walking.
Your lines are horrible, and you're a local.
I could see, yeah, you're a local.
You knew.
I knew eventually, but originally I was just in that fabulous frame of absolute trust. Like,
I want to add something here. You didn't want to screw up your good feeling by having to say no to someone. That's what it was.
No,
in your own definition, you admit it. I have the exact same situation. You don't want to fuck up anyone's day, because inevitably you're going to say something to them that they're going to take the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
I've realized
my realization is that, to quote Darth Vader in Return of the Jedi, he will come to me. Now, obviously, I'm not going for a he. The Emperor says, stay on the ship. Luke, your son will come to you. He will come to me. Yes, I have foreseen it. I have to keep replaying that in my head instead of me trying to go out there. It's like, no, I'll just be centered, be me, be the awesome version of me, and then hopefully that frequency brings someone in. It's also, I'm a lazy time lord. Can you see where I'm coming from?
So
I do leave the house now.
What will it take for you to no longer be a lazy time lord?
Death.
That'll happen late too.
The end of this incarnation.
Yeah, and because I've talked to Andrew about this. Like, we're born in the same year according to the calendar, and there's we'll say prediction that Earth will definitely be in an awesome golden time, fantastic. I sound like a Japanese show. Awesome, happy, fun time, awesome era by 2055, and we'll be 80 by then. And but
we'll
with
find
the
our life partner for the next few years.
Yeah, but with the way that technology is medically, I mean, we could probably get to 145, and depending on what the both of you can do, you work with DNA and frequency. Mm-hmm. That would be fun to actually remove the block that the human body has on it. Because in the Bible, people living up to 1,000 years and everything else like that. And so, we're hitting 120 and the body's like, oh, I can't do this. So I'm just,
I'm keen
just
for that to shift fast.
Yeah, actually, I'm feeding that myself. What was it? No, because it used to be stay alive to 25, but now it's stay alive to 55. And Andrew added the extra on, which was know what we're up against by 25. Was that?
No,
I remember.
I forgot. I was stay alive to 25, and I forgot what it was. And it was a good one.
It was stay alive to 25, but then you said no, it's stay alive to 55 when it's the golden age.
It was the golden age.
Yeah, have massive realizations by 25, so we know what we're dealing with. And talking about the Mayan calendar, and it's been a decade, and notice no one really celebrated 10 years of the Mayan calendar ending. That just went thump straight by.
Everyone felt sorry for themselves, and no one's that's just it. I had all these different colleagues sending all this stuff, and it was just like, come on. Hey, listen, before we go on, I'm getting messages from people who are having trouble getting in the room. Do we have a thing we can put up for people to come into the Zoom room, or?
So they could just go to the Facebook page. The link on Facebook works, but the link in the YouTube doesn't.
Okay.
Or the link that I sent you also can do that with the right passcode. I don't know why it works on Facebook but not on YouTube. They're all the exact same link. So something's going on where it's blocking something somewhere.
All right. So hopefully everyone's heard that. Head to the Facebook link, and that's going to get you in.
Or you can go direct to the YouTube channel, and in the show description is the link that works that takes you here. Even though the link in the email and the link in the other thing they're all exact same links. It's just, I don't know, the redirect isn't working on some level for someone. I mean, I have no idea what's going on. They're all the same link.
Yeah.
So going back to the Mayan.
Apparently the email link didn't work too.
No.
But anyway.
No, the email link didn't work either, even though the link on the Facebook page is the exact same link in the email. That's the irony.
Going back to the Mayans, what I was getting at is like 10 years, and the decade flew by, but the Mayans used 13, which is that they count by the joints in the body. Ones that they're 20 and 13. That's their mathematics, and I think the 13 is from the joints or movement of the body, which kind of makes sense.
Moons, 13. Moons.
There's 13 is it. So I'd be fascinated to see. So that'd be December 25 would be the first 13 years after the first 13 years of the Mayan calendar.
22nd.
So what's really interesting about the link, it has to be the country oriented that you're in, because there are people the email link is working for.
Okay, well.
So there's a lot of chat in the chat room, Monty, about it.
Yeah. Joel just said, confirmed to me, just go to the YouTube channel and the show description is the direct link to come in.
Okay. That will work.
So what I'm thinking is be interesting by the end of 25, because 13 plus 12 is 25, which is like 2025 seems to be popping up a lot with what's actually going on, and all this weird craziness. And of course, that's a year after the federal election. And I mean, we have to get through 2023. And I don't know if it's because I don't think it's a Time Lord thing, but time's acting weird where the days are fast but the months are long, and like 2020 I'm still trying to grapple that it's it's not 2019 anymore because all the lockdowns and everything else like that. But at the same time, it's 2023. It's like, hang on, what happened to 2021? What's going? It's a really weird sort of floating. Mind you, also, I've decided to sort of disengage from the global narrative and start building my own dream bubble, which is quite fascinating. I've decided to become a rock star, basically.
No, you're working with your local narrative and not the global narrative, and you're meeting your local people and finding your local friends and making your local community.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't mind doing this show and everything else like that, but I've been online for nearly a decade, and I'm I'm missing the physical in that respect. It's you got great friends, and the time difference always screws everything up, and because I'm 16 hours ahead of you, Andrew. I think that's how it works.
Yeah, 16 hours,
16 hours ahead. Yeah. So hello from the future, and it's fascinating because even when I was DJing, I would still see a similar group of people every week. And since a question for everyone in the chat, how has your life been since Lionsgate in August? Because the description is someone's got the etch-a-sketch and's gone, and everything seems to be flipping out and moving and going for things are dropping off, and there's been a lot of change and not redirection. What's the right word? Redefining. And so it's like, that's yes, I actually am. I'm giving up my hermit card. Except on
turning in your hermit card. Wow.
Yeah.
He did. That's why he changed timelines. I've been waiting for him to say that. He abandoned that timeline and jumped into a new one. I just noticed Sean actually mentioning that it's gone very accelerated for him since Lionsgate. I would say it has, Sean. Sean's been doing some amazing stuff.
Right.
He's been doing some really cool stuff.
The irony is, I remember when Sean called me from his little tiny cabin on some island in Victoria, Canada, and him and his cat in a little cabin that he built. And I'm like, what are you doing there? You should be doing bigger stuff.
Yeah.
And 3 years later, look where he's at, man. He's about to graduate acupuncture school.
And everything that he's doing, like he's just putting out some amazing, amazing work. But it's really cool.
Oh, he did graduate acupuncture school. Sorry. Yeah, he did graduate. Sorry. Out of the diploma, motherfucker.
just saw it. Yes, he's graduated.
I just got bitch slapped.
Congratulations.
I got Bibby slapped.
Bibby slapped. And he's certainly, and you know what? He's qualified to do that. He's qualified these days, not just with his diploma, but in so many levels and on so many dimensions. He's qualified to slap us if we need it.
Yeah, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. He's qualified to stick small needles into your body. He won't get arrested this time. So
I remember telling him, "Do you want to be Dr. Sean Bibby?" And he was having a tough time putting his brain around it, but it eventually got in. He's like, "I can be Dr. Sean Bibby."
He can indeed.
Mm-hmm.
So does he still have the cat? So do you still have the cat?
I don't think the cat made the journey with him.
Oh.
Okay, Sean, did the cat make the journey with you?
You can have my cat. She won't
Part
shut
way.
up.
That's
part way.
Part way.
What is it? You have Schroeder?
They disappeared.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love it when I love it when an animal comes into your life for the chapter they needed to push you forward, and then they leave. I've got so many stories that even in my own life about that, like the shark, literally pushing me.
In 5 days, now it's a guesstimation because apparently Scoffy was found on Australia Day, which is the 26th of January, and they believe she's two weeks old. So in 5 days, my cat turns 10, and that's mind blowing because I've kept the cat alive for a decade, and also just like
in the new Mayan calendar.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. But lately, she's just, I don't see her for 16 hours a day. When she gets in, she just yells at me. I don't know what, like I sometimes have good communication with her, but then she goes, "Oh, he understands me," and then opens the floodgates and it gets lost in translation. It's like, meow. Oh, you mean this? Meow, 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 meow. Like, oh, hang on, what's going on? My third eye just goes, no, click.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it takes me back to the whole speaker votes.
They're just a bunch of cats meowing at each other.
Yes.
One big litter box over there.
See, we should
I don't know enough about the process to know what happens if nothing's. How does it resolve if it can't resolve?
Well, the last time it happened was in 1923. It's been nearly a century, and so maybe look at the way
there have been other votes that went into the hundreds. Or other votes on it, but the significance of that one was the fracturing of the government that was going on then.
Yeah.
So like the early 1700s and the 1800s, when it was when it was very big, there was quite a few times the speaker never got elected. Okay. So we are not having anyone raise hands. So anybody that is raising hands, we're lowering hands. We are not taking questions now. It won't be to the end of the segment that we do that. All right, everybody.
I was going to say, because Catherine's just mentioned that she manifested a live light language colonic yesterday. And I was going to say, can we unmute her? Because I want to hear about that.
That was a show we did yesterday where it was called Light Language Colonic, where I started them in the stomach and gave them 4 different techniques of how to actually do the whole journey of using light language to change out the frequencies in your intestinal tract and balance everything from all the way from the stomach all the way down to the sphincter, and then an elemental rebalancing. And a lot of people had some very, 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 very amazing experiences out of that.
Oh, that's great. So people are saying it was fabulous. I'll have to look it up. Did you record that one?
Oh yeah, that was a live show on Thursday.
All right, I'll have a look. But what it is to be offline for this long? Yep.
Yeah, the battering ram energy. Yeah, it was some people vomited. We had several people having full on somatic releases with it too.
Melissa, you missed. I was had a chat with Andrew in the last couple of weeks, where we were just talking about stuff, and then I basically shared some a truth where it's like with both your stuff, you may have noticed that I'm not 100% a good student. It's like fascinating. Like that show sounds fascinating. I don't think I'll watch it. It's because at the three of us, I'm the human of the group. I'm here to be the human. Your spiritual open, your broadcast, it's like when we sat down to have this soul contract to play out, 10,000 lifetimes ago, I chose, this is the lazy time lord bit. It's like, no, I'll do it as a human. And that's where I'm not 100% where I'm blocked out. I get whispers and everything else like that. But I'm here on, Earth is my home because I've been here it's people say, I want to go home. You've been here for 30 million years. Where is your home exactly?
You're not from here yet?
Yeah,
you're not from here yet.
It's like you're here. And so, I realized, and it made Andrew laugh, that I'm the human of the group. And that's part of the dynamic. It's to have that, I'm the man on the street point of view, where like both of you can broadcast to galaxies and talk to all these beings, and it's like I ate a plum today, and like
the irony from light language colonics. We were having a meeting I don't know 5-6 weeks ago, like the beginning of Christmas, trying to chart out what we were going to do for shows in January and February, and I just randomly said we can do light language colonics, and everybody laughed, and I'm like, well, I'm actually serious. You can do it. You just have to understand how light language can be applied to beyond. It's just not galactic babbling to each other. It's meant to be a catalyst and activation of energy. And when you learn the strategy of what out catalyzing energy and moving blockages means, you can use light language to clear a tremendous amount of stuff.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and when I hear like Andrew talk light language, there's a part of me is like, yep, they'll remember those old days. Oh, that was good. But the rest of me is like, wow, that kind of sounds like Native American. And that's basically it's my spiritual journey is really weird, where it's like, human. And in the last fifth of your life, we'll go super wizard Gandalf type stuff. But you'll have to experience a theme. As Andrew keeps pointing out, that once I'm able to leave the planet, I'll be doing stand-up with the rest of the galaxy, and I'll be able to
about this.
Yeah, being a human on Earth, and I can fart on stage, and the whole room will just crack up, and it's like explaining what a fart is. It's like build up a gas, and the body has to expel it. Now, when usually what happens is that gas is a buffer from some solid that's coming out, and so it's a hint that you need to go to the toilet. And we just created a whole routine about farting and shitting because it's very human.
And they're laughing their ass off because they don't have bodies.
Yeah. It's like, wait. You eat food and 80% of it is discharged through the thing that you sit on.
Yes.
And there's gas.
And then you have to explain hot boxing, intentional pulling up of the covers.
Or those moments where it's like, I thought it was gas, but it wasn't.
It wasn't. It had something else adjoined to it.
A follow through. And so, good 5 minutes of talking shit.
Isn't that called charting?
Yes, charting.
Charting. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But there you go. So, and Jamie came out with that too. Oh no, I've lost my train of thought. Keep going. So.
Well, I went from light language to having a poo. So, you've got
we just did light language colonics, so it's all related.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, look, we all know that you love your colonics, so I like that you applied it via light language as well.
Well, it was to get people to understand how to use light language with a strategy of your human body. and how it's connected and interconnected to, I mean, your intestinal tract holds 80% of your immune system. And when you go through a full elemental balancing of all the symbiotic organisms in your immune system, you can get a tremendous change within yourself.
That makes sense. Yeah. Have a
It's
good
just getting people to understand it's not just galactic babbling. And unfortunately, in the light worker community, that's what they see it as, galactic babbling.
Oh, light workers, right.
Yes.
in the what? But it's
remember what planet you're on, where and I'm sure you get in trouble as well, Melissa. Where the type of, and most people in the chat as well, where the type of people say anything is possible, and no, it's not. And like, it's not probable, it's possible. Like you can actually, you have free will. Free will galaxy, free will universe, free will solar systems, free will planet. You can actually turn your back on your soul contract and walk away from it. By the way, your life will become real fucking hard in about a nanosecond because you're totally out of alignment of the frequency.
Yeah.
And
Don't
it's
tempt
like,
karma.
yeah. And like, I saw a meme basically saying, your higher self is whispering to you, and your spirit guides whisper to you. And if you keep missing that whispering, the earth will push you down a cliff. It's like, no, you're going to get this message, and you don't want it to have it like it's similar to Melissa, how you say that pain is the last language of the body.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to get to that point. Like, my knee's a bit of a twin. Like, the journey that my mother's been on is like, yeah, see, back in that timeline, if we went there, we could have missed a lot of stuff.
We could have skipped a hell of a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but it's all part of her experience at the same time, and it's been all agreed upon, and so on and so forth.
And she's in a great space now, but it's taken a year.
Well, yes, and that was a reaction from her what her partner's going through, and what I'm going through is a reaction to what my mum's going through. This is what I'm here to do, is to end the cycle.
That's right.
Stop the bloodline. Cleanse the bloodlines, which means I should have a baby at some point for it to go on. I don't know.
A mini Monty. A mini Monty.
Huh?
A mini Monty.
Yeah. Well, because of the last 3 years, and the word that shall not be mentioned, as well as 16,000 other ones. My seed would be very expensive in a couple of years. I'm pure. That's why. I'm just saying.
It's now coming back onto the market.
Yeah.
It's a very rare Chateau Monty, 1974.
Let me tell you, in about 24 to 36 months, wanker will be a profession that is adored. I'm just saying.
That's a good one. Wanker will be a professionally adored.
And what do you do for work? I'm a wanker. Oh, thank you for repopulating the planet. Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, it's into a cup, and no woman touches me. But you give what you get.
Well, that's a spin. That's a spin they could take into a new series. What's that show? The Handmaiden. They could certainly.
The Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah, they could certainly take that spin into the next season. They could actually take that spin into, now we're going to have the opposite, where so many infertile men. Now we have our donors that we're going to take advantage of.
And if you remember the Simpson episode where Barney the drunk, he's been donating at the bank for a long time, and they just do a wide shot, and there's like 200 babies all burping the same as him.
That's nice. That's nice. Santos Wankers Unite, Hermit's Retreat. That's a new T-shirt for you, Monty.
Yes.
Yeah. And we have an end of year celebration called the Fapping. It's a wonderful thing.
It's beautiful. The fapping, the fappening.
Yeah, all hands on deck. Yeah, let's go.
Oh, jeez.
Hands-on experience. Very hands-on experience. Yep.
Well, I am transmuting energy because, I pointed out, I realized earlier I could be a comedian or a serial killer, and you know what my choice was. I'm not borderline, but it's really weird. Like the creativity is like, I could kill people, but that doesn't seem to feel right.
Look how that worked out for that Idaho guy.
Yeah, well, yeah. See, and to me, it's free will. Like, you can have I'll let me free you from this plane of existence. It's like, well, I didn't agree to this. Stop that. What are you, a Rothschild?
No. God.
Can I say Rothschild?
Rothschild.
I wonder, is that on the list? I wonder if we're allowed to say that.
How far back do they go? Like Jordan Maxwell, are we being cut off now? Like, lizard people,
Oh gosh,
baby raping lizard wizards. Now, there is 4 of them. I know how Andrew said they don't run the planet, but there are some. They meet in Cornwall every second Saturday of the month and complain about how they don't control the planet.
There's like where I've been off grid and offline for the last 10 days. We were reunited with a heap of old friends that we haven't seen. Thank you, lockdowns and everything. Like, no one's been able to catch up with each other for at least 3 years. A lot of them were 4 years since we've all been in the same space at the same time, all been at the shacks, little beach shacks. And so these kids, some of these kids had gone from last time I saw them, they were like 16, 17, and now they're young adults. And one of the boys pulled out a video and asked me, like, obviously he waited to bring this to show me, but he pulled out a video of Jim Carrey, who was on one of the talk, like Jimmy Fallon or something like that. And Jim was trying to expose the Illuminati and on Fallon's show. And of course, the show is trying to make it all comedy. They're trying to do the whole, he's crazy, isn't he? Wow, he's crazy, that sort of thing, and having a really good laugh about it. And something I really admire about Jim Carrey is how he plows forward regardless, doesn't give a damn, keeps talking the truth he feels is the truth. And I actually have never seen this footage before. I'm sure millions have around the world. I couldn't tell you what year it's from. But he was showing me, this kid was, because he's not a kid, he's now like 22. But he's showing it to me because he wanted to say, like, where do you see the truth in this and where do you not? And I said to him, the beauty is I don't have to answer that, because the fact that you're asking me this question shows that what Jim did worked. And I said, if that whole audience is in there laughing and they're trying to make small of it and wow, he's crazy, let's not listen to him. Oh my God, he does believe they're trying to turn us into consumer drones, all of that stuff. And I said, but there would have been one person in that audience went, and started to look that up. One person somewhere out there that saw it, and I said, if it's only one person that opens their eyes a little further and starts to look into stuff, then that truth was worthwhile.
Or it could be it's a seed where, like Vinny Eastwood points out, some people need 7 steps to get to the truth. And what Jim did, like they 3 months later, a friend's talking to another friend and mentions it. It's like, hang on, Jim Carrey said the same thing.
Exactly, and that's it. This kid bringing this to ask me what I thought of it was that happening. And I said, so that's actually what I ended up explaining to everyone there, that's actually what's happening there. The beauty is someone's ignited the candle's starting to spread amongst other people, the flame and the light starting to build. And I said, with each person that's gone, I might look into this. What do you think? Each one of those 7 steps, the light gets brighter.
I remember one person asking me, so do the Jews run the world? I'm like, no, the Satanists do, who pretend to be Jewish.
I want to touch on the Jewish subject for a second here. We live in the United States, which is supposed to be a religiously free country, but it isn't. It's still deeply rooted in its religious and cultural connotations. And the money power elite have declared a way that you can never speak bad of that particular community without being considered a racist, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And Jordan Peterson brought up a very, very distinct point. If you can never speak ill of any particular one subject matter or never have a dissenting view to others, how can you ever grow as an individual community? If everyone is afraid to say, hey, I have a different point of view than you do. Because unfortunately, a tremendous amount of the conspiracy theories that are as bad as Flat Earth have come out of the extreme Jewish communities. As bad as Flat Earth. Okay? Behold a pale horse, all those other things, they're all still waiting for what? The end of the world. Doom and gloom. They pray for doom and gloom. They pray that the apocalypse happens and that one tribe of people rules all.
And like is it the Articles of Zion? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Or the Prophet of Zion? Yeah, where apparently they've been debunked and they're not written. They're fake. Yeah. But the weird thing is, it's exactly what's happening. Even if they're fake, it's like, well, this is the script that they're following. Like, so sure, it's fake, but it's still happening exactly the way that it says.
Well, you look at like Nostradamus, and so much of those predictions have come to be. Like, so many of them have, a lot haven't, but a lot have. I mean, there's some that you find you hope for, you know, like his predictions about the king and stuff. But it's like, but yeah, let's not go into that. But the Bible's okay.
It's a fully plagiarized document. It is, and the vast majority of the material. Document. Right, the vast majority of the material was never written during the time of Christ. It was 400 years afterwards, where a bunch of people got together and looked at the notes that were left from it.
Right.
Yeah, and I love that Constantine thing where I may get the numbers wrong, but the point's going to be made. 1,500 scholars, and he basically said, right, make me Jesus in this book. And 2/3 of them said, no. It was like, well, get out. And then it came down to 500, and then they agreed on the version of the Bible that comes out of the...
the majority... Like each book in the Bible is an actual book written by various authors, like Book of Ruth, Book of all of those, and the majority of the books were left out of the Bible. Like what was put in there was handpicked, and that's why there's only 2 written by women.
Right, it was handpicked for a specific reason because it had to support the narrative of the time, and the narrative believed that it would survive at least 200 to 400 years into the future. Therefore, the books itself had to predict for 200 to 400 years of how cultures would accept it. It was also written for the dumbest set of people. Okay, but who barely knew how to read, and one guy that knew how to read told them what was in the book and interpreted it for them.
And that's where the biblical, or like the Bible literalists out there that take the Bible as, like, literally take the Bible, they're terrifying.
Yeah, sure. But like, that's just as terrifying with the light workers who believe any conspiracy theory. It's just as bad. Just as bad.
And then you have, I met an acquaintance recently, and he's so anti conspiracy theory. He hates Trump with a passion, and anyone that follows Trump is a complete moron and an idiot. Like, okay, fair enough. And then he went on to, like, Alex Jones is a grifter and 100% wrong. He's only there to steal your money. And I've talked to Andrew about this, and he came across as an angry flat earther. Like, I couldn't mention anything, because you cannot say that Alex Jones is 100% incorrect. The example that I have now is, remember when Alex said the big tech companies are going to cancel me and remove me from their platforms?
Yes.
And that was the theory. Now, guess what the big tech companies did?
Canceled
exactly that, and removed him, proving that he was right.
And then they charged him $1 billion or $2 billion in fees for talking about things they didn't want to in a single court case.
Oh yeah. Oh, was it a court case, or was it a complete sham?
An absolute complete sham. And the fact that the sham courts like that are so upfront and no one did anything about it shows where we are in society.
The lack of accountability, fear, and moving forward.
Kit, any book can be twisted anyway. Even the Hindu books, any of them can be twisted anyway. That's why I tried my best to not weaponize the material that I bring out. Okay.
Look, religion's a structure of man. Every religion on this planet is a structure of man. They can claim to follow a god, but what a religion is a structure, often politically written structure, of how someone else has decided you should believe in your God, the way you should practice your belief in your God. And religion was always the structure of man. Religion is not spiritual.
No.
It's, spirit is spirit, God is God, whoever you want to refer to, universe, whatever. But Fred actually mentioned in the chat room that the Bible's the lawyer's handbook. Now, that's another fascinating topic. Yeah, it was. The Bible has so much of what we call law is based on
the Bible.
Really badly interpreted
religious
version of what they
governments,
call the Bible.
Religious oligarchy that wanted to replace the kings and the queens and the potentials of the kings and the queens, but through the religious law firms. I want to add one more thing. Believe it or not, Christianity does survive the awakening, even here and other worlds. There are other Christian worlds. Yes, there are. And they have learned to not be run by a pope and a black pope, a white and a black pope.
I
There
was
are
about to say
many,
it's
many Christian worlds out there that are raised human, that actually follow the right way. And there's going to come a time they pilgrimage to us to show the Christians a more correct perception.
yeah, I'm sure they come back and it's like, what, you still have a church? Stop that.
No, they
'Cause
have churches, they have things. They're just not emblazoned with the propaganda of the
Yeah, that's-
early
yeah.
generations that defined the late generations as
Yeah.
power hungry pedophilia people. Unfortunately, that's a huge part of that aspect that they never wrote out of the narrative. But you also have to understand, child abuse is as ancient as our history. Slavery was regularly had common child abuse. It's ingrained into the culture at such a high level that when the 1950s, 60s, 70s, and 80s came, and none of the church people were going to jail because none of the police officers were, all the police were afraid of what the church would do to them. What would they do? Excommunicate them. Okay. And the power of excommunication to a person that is highly faithful is terrifying to those that are filled with faith. Okay. But the church has learned it can't rule through fear anymore. And for the longest time, it ruled through fear, not through faith. And now that many of the child abusers in the different churches have been exposed, and there's still the few that will be left, but now you look towards the Hindu groups, they're falling just as bad as the Christians. The white bearded wonders are going down 10, 12, 15 in a year. They're getting caught full on abuse just as bad as the Christian church. And if you think the Muslims are any better, they're just as bad, and so are the Buddhists in those temples. It's so broad spectrum here that for the true dealing with it, it's more than just putting people in jail. It's making examples out of the elevated personalities who hid it for so long, and then correcting the history books in such a way that those that hid it no longer should be represented in history. And that will absolutely change the caliphate states and all those other things that want to be recognized through religion and history.
Interesting enough, here in Australia, there's the current government wants to have a voice of the Aboriginal people in Parliament. And I think that's going to go to a referendum this year. They still haven't explained what it is. It just, there'll be a voice. And what does that mean? Well, we'll get to that later. I'm like, well, hang on. But I'm the way I see it, you're going to have two camps, yes and no. Vote yes to stop racism. Vote no to stop racism, because it's singling out. Because I think there's 16 Aboriginal descendants in Parliament now. The Senate's. If you like watching Australian politics, stop it. But in the Senate, it will be fascinating because I think they're split down. There's one Aboriginal one that when being sworn into the Queen, apparently we're an independent nation, but all our politicians have to swear a oath of loyalty to the Queen, now the King. But she referred to Queen Elizabeth as a colonizer, and she had to reread it again because it's like, just read what's on the card. And then you have another Aboriginal senator, I can't remember the names, I do apologize. She's from Alice Springs, and she's like, we're all Australians. Stop making us special. Now, obviously, you need a treaty. That's the one thing here in Australia. There's no treaty of the British or English conquering the Aboriginals and taking over the land, and so on and so forth. And so this is the rub, or the conflict, is because they keep saying it's Aboriginal land, always is and always will be. Our land wasn't seceded. It's like, yeah, true, but you've been conquered. Most people don't like when I talk like this because I think I'm actually on the government side, but I've said it for a while. We just need a treaty. I have no idea what that treaty is. Go talk to the actual Aboriginals, and it's why can't we? Melissa, would you agree that the only group that's really ostracized and not part of society is the First Nations here? Because we accept everyone else. And for whatever reason, and I'm sure it's government and there's government, a lot of pay. There's a lot of bribery, on a base level where the government gives a lot of stuff to Aboriginal people because they're being treated like crap for 200 years. And that's where you've heard the term coconut. Like there's Aboriginals out in Armand Land where the Aboriginals in Melbourne, they're coconuts, which brown on the outside, white on the inside. But there are actually elders, the smart elders of Aboriginal tribes, where like we're all Australians, we're all been part of this since the English turned up in 1888. We're all one people trying to move forward, and the schism between everyone that needs to be healed and brought together. But who knows, especially now, who knows how long it's going to be. And so like the government saying, oh, the Aboriginals need a voice in parliament. But like, well, what about the Jewish community? I'm part Polish. Can I have my Polish ancestry in there as well? Or you just treat Aboriginals as equals like every other Australian. I know, wacky idea.
Or you change the rules for constituency and representation. And I've always said here, even if we had 10% of the population represented in Congress, that means 10% of 360 million people. That means 3,600,000 congressmen. You still wouldn't be representing the majority of the people or their will. That's why representative government, the limited representative government we have now, is meant for the oligarchs that have the power and remain with the power.
What they're doing here, this thing's being rushed through. Like it's they're trying to rush it through to make them look like they are actually doing the right thing. And at face value, it sounds great. But as Mont said, the people that are actually First Nations people and intelligent leaders of First Nations people are actually opposed to it. They're actually saying, no, this actually needs to be refined. This actually needs to be, let's define this properly and explain that we are a people. We're not a separatist people that you've decided to include. And so it's and that's what's actually going on.
That same thing applies here to the United States. Everything that Monty was talking about, the indigenous cultures throughout the world have been made second-class citizens in their own countries.
They have. I've never forgotten one of the first times I went over to the States. I was still a great friend with him, but I didn't realize he was the holy man and everything. I just thought he was a tour guide. It's a long story, but the Supai holy man actually took me, and we actually went to a Woolopai community that were close to the Grand Canyon, or actually in the Grand Canyon, the country itself of the Grand Canyon. And I was so shocked at how poor they were. I was so shocked at how they were living in such a rich country. And it really took me aback that they were treated so badly.
And the corruption. There was money for them. Many chose not to take the money, and those that took the money didn't give it to everyone else. And that's an ongoing in indigenous cultures all throughout the indigenous worlds. They betrayed their own kind.
They were displaced from their lands and their ancestral lands and everything. It was really hard to see. And yet in amongst them, an incredible community of people, beautiful, no bitterness, nothing like that. And no prejudice at all. It's some, Barbie looking chick with a strange accent walking into the place, the only white chick in the place. And mind you, I was truly, as I often am, just not naive, but I walk into any place as a student, so I just sort of
I remember when I was doing comedy a lifetime and a half ago, some comedic friends were telling me a story that him and his brother, they went to they were in, I think, Los Angeles, and they went to a comedy night, and it was for African Americans. And so I think there was 4 white people in the room, and they were 2 of them. And the MC was basically just pointing at them and not directly, but sort of dumping on white people, and he was looking towards them. And at one point, Adam's just gone, "Oh no, we're Australian," and he's gone, "Oh, I'm sorry," and focused on the other 2. So, I could probably get judged as a white person, but then I just opened my mouth. And it's like, "Oh, you're Australian. You're fine. Come in here," which is good.
We should go into the next vote for the speakers. see what we can pull off in there. But got to tour the reserves in Canada. Sorry, someone was just saying I should tour the reserves in Canada. I have heard stories, and I actually haven't been to any of the reserves in Canada, not yet.
Oh,
But
I've decided until Justin Trudeau is gone and all that insane policies removed, it's now referred to as Canada. It's not actually Canada anymore. Canada is a wonderful place that is beautiful people, and there's a bit of intelligence in the government. But with the batshit crazy cockhead in charge, it's Canada, and so that's the difference. So it's not Canada. Actually, the Canadians in the chat room, would you agree? Because it's now just the insanity that Justin Trudeau, like, he jailed Castro, not Casters, Castro, like Castro, yeah, Castro, Justin Castro. He added the Freedom Colony. He basically jailed those the Canadian people, and froze all their bank accounts and everything else like that. And then, 3 months later, he was praising the Chinese protesters for the stuff that we can't mention. And it's like, just the double face is like, it's okay when they do it. Like, oh yeah, China bad. So when the protesters, but you can't protest what I'm saying because you're something wrong with you and you're racist. It's like even here in the Victorian. Did you see this, Melissa, in the Victorian election? Dan Andrews pulled on the same day he said, I don't want this election to be Americanized. And then about an hour later, he said the alternative government is full of Nazis and racists. and this is part of where hope and finally someone pushed back. The Australian ADL, whatever, Anti-Defamation League, the Australian one, the head guy came out and said, please do not use that word. I don't see anyone building camp. And so and Daniel Andrews was shut down by the Anti-Defamation League because he used the term Nazis. And it's like, finally someone pushed back at the pathetic way that word has been used. It's the only time that I supported the ADL. I'd like to point out the rest of the time they're all a bit weird. But when there's like, don't use Nazis, you're taking the power away from that word by using it flippantly. And it's like, cool, finally.
Well, I want to add a little something here. I want to all take bets. Is Kevin McCarthy going to make it in or not? Who knows what could happen? Somebody, Matt Gaetz nominated Trump. Technically, the Speaker of the House does not have to be a congressman or a senator.
Ooh.
Okay. I have a feeling that they are going to not adjourn this week and enforce everyone every 3 hours to vote for the next 48 hours. Okay.
Oh my God.
How is that constitutional government?
That's not
if they do that. And it's looking like that's what's going to happen. And because it gets to a point where you give us so much power away, how are you truly the Speaker of the House? And what's being asked by the Freedom Caucus, there are those on the left that thinks it's only going to destroy the country, and probably it will. Unfortunately, in this constitutional government, people have freedom of speech, and you can't take away somebody else's freedom of speech.
I remember watching.
That is a real law here.
Oh, yeah. I think it's the only place that has that as a law. It's implied here in Australia. There's laws against defamation, but freedom of speech is implied. It's like, we like it. But I remember Robin Williams, I think it was from 2007, the DVD that it released there, and he was talking about Afghanistan or another country or something, and basically said, we could give them our constitution. I mean, we're not using it. And this is like... This is 2005, 2007. Andrew, here's a question for you. If the United States government was actually following the Constitution, what's the what's that timeline compared to this timeline?
Absolutely, completely, and totally different. Nothing the way that we would have today if it were following the constitutional republic rules. The Congress and the Senate, which has since, let's just say, early Bush 1, has not been following any of the normal rules of Congress and Senate. They don't read the bills, and they don't write the bills. They have other corporations that write the bills for them. And it's specifically stated in the Constitution, it's the Congress who must write the bills. You cannot hire somebody else to write the bill for you. And there's all these other things that they're doing where they're creating legislative, executive branch rulings to create laws that are changing statutes. The country was never meant to run on statutes. It's meant to be run on law. And all those things that the different presidents are doing as presidential actions are completely against the Constitution. But the Congress and the Senate are afraid of challenging that power, and so is the Supreme Court. Technically, every single one of the members of Congress, Senate, and executive and legal branches are all committed treason to the Constitution. Every single one of them. If you go by the letter of the Constitution, they've all been committing treason since 2001.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So food for thought, ladies and gentlemen. Just thought I'll have, yeah.
If we were running a true, like that, the answer to the question, if we're running a true constitutional government.
Yeah, because they keep saying America's a democracy. It's like, no, I thought it was
a constitutional republic.
Yeah, it has democracy in it.
Happening? So what's happening to the American public right now watching this absolute bloody dysfunctional circus in front of them?
They're seeing transparent hypocrisy at the worst level.
Are people starting to see that though? Like
yes, they are.
Is the populace starting to see this is crap?
They're so blinded by fairy tale news that it's reached a point where they are just going to believe the fairy tale. That's it. They're just going to believe the fairy tale. It's so polarized. The left believes it's news, the right believes it's news, and there is no center. They will just attack the center over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you can't choose. It's like, well, if I voted, I'll probably be a swing voter because you can't. It's not a team. You should go with the ideas and policies that work for the public. But if it's someone's been a Democrat all their life, it's like, yeah, but you don't like half the stuff they're doing. Oh, but they're my team. Politics isn't a sport. Because that's the idea. It's supposed to be a free country where you can actually do what you want, within reason, obviously.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the people watching are in a situation. Who do you believe? If you're on one side of the fairy tale news or on the other side of the fairy tale news, or you're in between and you're stuck, who do you believe? Whose truth do you believe? And unfortunately, misinformation, real information, disinformation, nobody knows the truth. How is the average human being in this world going to figure it out? They're not. Okay, when you ask and ask over and over and over and over again that your congressmen and senators do their job and they don't, what happens? The constituency has no power over the Congress anymore. Mm-hmm. And that's been well into the Bush era, that it was completely removed. And Clinton was a part of that too. Every year they have raised the debt ceiling for 22 years. That is criminal. Okay, they created a $64 trillion debt.
And yeah, how are you supposed to pay that back?
You can't. You can't pay it back. Okay?
Yeah. And it's all controlling. I mean, I would talk about voting, but I still want to be on stream. So, because even Razorfist, after I think it was the federal election in 2020, he said that for normies, certain people, the only thing that people had left was their vote, and that's been proven that they don't anymore. And he refers to it as a monoparty, and like, I want to ask about Arizona, but maybe we'll do that later off air or something, or when we're on Rumble, because there is that pushback, that fight back, where it's like, well, hang on, it's people are going, why is it this way? Oh no, it's always been like this. Yeah, but this piece of paper called the Constitution says it's wrong. And your power comes from that piece of paper, and then it's like the whole New World Order. At some point, they're going to cross the line. They can't say, "Oh, we're for peace, love, and freedom." Now, everyone get your microchips on the back of your head. You know what I mean? They have to cross a certain line where everyone's like, "Wait a minute."
Mm-hmm. So the World Electronic Forum, Electronic Music Forum, wink, 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 WEF. Yes, I said it. Every single one of those people under their own individual country should be prosecuted. as well as anyone that's on the WEMF website that is promoting government a specific way. Those should also be treason, because they take an oath to who? The Constitution of the United States, not some foreign organization that pays their bills.
Right.
And what about that small country? What about that small country in the Middle East that seems to it keeps getting money from, it's the controlling government that the US government's been giving them billions of dollars for decades. It's like, why
Sure.
are they? It's been you were created in 1947, and I've followed. If you follow the wars that country's had, they're doing all right. Like, they don't need help.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Ultimately, we are in a situation where each and every human being that's witnessing what is going on will make their own choice and believe in the fairy tale or get out of the fairy tale. And we have people beginning to realize the fairy tale is beginning to be. Can you boop that guy? Matthew Conti. Yeah, I knew it. We got our trolls trying to get in. Go ahead and boot him, Joel.
Yeah.
Let's just report them too. Boot and report.
And it looks like we're doing God's work, Andrew. Because we've got like, really, I said a word in chat that's going to take down these guys. Cool.
So yeah, all right, that dude's gone.
It took 2 hours, almost 2 hours for them. They've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and we didn't give him a chance, and he just had to pop off in chat.
I changed name and blah blah blah, and yeah, it's
all right.
Yeah,
we're not giving anybody any opportunities to show. Tough fucking luck.
That's right. That's right. If you think that we're all just woo-woo light workers that are, you've got three pretty intelligent people that have no time for that shit anymore. Like, honestly, my fatigue with people being full of shit at the moment is just.
Well,
one thing, was getting desperate when he mentioned my breasts. Like, really? That's what you. Yeah. Anyway,
one thing.
All right.
One thing that Andrew likes about that I've achieved is I've worked through my anger. Because for a while I was leaving a trail of destruction and it was controlling me, and I'm at peace with my anger. And interesting enough, Andrew pointed out, I'm angry that I'm not angry. I don't have a healthy anger where it can't, like, when I stub my toe or something goes, being a human, anger is still part of it. It's not supposed to be a controlling mechanism. But stuff like that is like, you should be angry. I'm like, but why? Why waste the energy? It's just like, if you, because the universe is full of energy. If you don't feed what they're doing, you just shut it down. That pisses them off more. Have you ever had a conversation when someone's yelling at you and you just maintain the same level and you don't feed the anger? Because you know how anger likes to feed and like a feedback loop. If you deny it down, the anger gets really pissed off and they get more angry. I'm not, it's like, I'm not being aggressive. Yes, you are. I can sense it.
So I want to ask everybody to go down into the chat room here, or if you're on YouTube or Facebook or wherever you are listening, and put down your prediction of what's going to happen over the weekend. Is McCarthy going to get in? Is he not? Are they going to give up? What's going to go on? Your personal prediction. Doesn't matter what side of the rules that you're on, your belief that it's on. What do you think is going to happen?
I'm still
in the chat room. Tina just cracked me up because Tina just cracked me up when she cracked the joke that I was asking for it.
You were asking for it, yes, you were.
Good job, Tina.
The twins were just talking to him the whole time.
I'm still every time you hear my problem with the whole speakers thing is every time you hear McCarthy, I'm thinking the 1950s. I still have to let go of that.
Isn't that funny? That comes up for me too. That's weird, isn't it?
It's the McCarthy era too. McCarthy hard.
This will go down on the history book somewhere as McCarthy's. I don't know. For me, my gut has said from the beginning, from the very first vote that went was someone unexpected will come in as the speaker. It's going to be someone unexpected, so it's not going to be
Unfortunately, this means the Congress would have to elect somebody who is a Democrat with a Republican in that the Republicans would support. That will be the only way it done. That means it's a parliamentary style government, even though it's a constitutional republic. And unfortunately,
because Monty's photo, I think he's a teenager in that photo.
He is off to the loo.
Yeah, but this is the image he's put up. He's put up. That's like always
been his image since I've known him. Is that
really?
One?
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen that one come up before. That's cracked me up. I reckon that might be before I met Monty. That photo is taken, and that's a long time ago. Everyone, sorry. No, it is. That was my gut from the first time. I don't think he'll get in. I think there will be, like Monty was just talking about, when you don't respond to someone's anger and they instead it mirrors back and bounces back on them and they just accelerate exponentially. I think that's what's going to happen to him. I think he's going to explode.
He's already had explosive moments where his text messages are coming out where he says he wants to be able to fund the endless wars in the place in the Western, you know where. Anyways. But unfortunately,
anything you put in writing is evidence against you. I mean,
everything you put in writing, which means the only way he can stay Speaker of the House is he has to have Democrats cross the line and vote for him. Okay, and the Democrats are waiting for what? They're going to say no January 6th investigations. No, I said it's shit. No counter investigations to those things we're not supposed to talk about. Nothing about the whole issues of 2020, 2021, where people didn't want to do through the you-know-what-sies, okay? They want to have investigations into all that stuff. And the Democrats are going to say, no, none. And that's what it's going to happen. And the swamp creatures are probably going to win because guess what? It's all about the Bono party and who's been bought and paid for.
Yeah.
It's all bought and paid for.
That's American government for a long time. That's unfortunately it's been like that for a very long time. But that's the only way in this lifetime I've known.
Right. Into the 80s, the Congress compared to the 70s was completely bought and paid for. And Senate.
That's the only way in my lifetime, this lifetime round, that's the only way the American government's operated in this lifetime for me. It's kind of a given that's it. But I don't know. To me, it's a bit like we're going to watch these structures like Catholicism, like government as we've known it. We try to keep it desperately, like justice systems, which we all know. The justice system in our privileged society, so that's everywhere, like anywhere that's online, are screwed. There's no justice left in the justice system. And all of that needs to implode. It's all essential that it does. We're going to see it all be related to one another. As we said before, religion's always been a government structure, and government has based itself off religion, and law has been based off scripture as such as it was produced. And there was inverted commas there, by the way, that disappeared from view. But we're going to see that implode because it is out of functional space now. It can't exist in an accelerating, evolving vibration as we know it now. And can
you boot Alan Salman? He is just spamming the chat right now. We knew he was a troll from the very beginning because he kept raising his hand. Yes, we knew who you are already before. The Gold Joe and boot and report. Yeah, we had to make him wait the whole show, and all he's gonna do now is put spam in the chat room. You little shit fuck.
Actually, it's just personally to you because it's not in the chat room. I think it was just a personal.
No, it's to you.
No,
none of us have witnessed that.
Yeah, I know.
Which is
exactly. Flush the toilet on the fucker. Okay.
And that's the 17th vote for the Senate.
I knew from the first second that the guy walked in, that's all he wanted to do. Okay.
Yeah.
What a shame he didn't know he had the audience. He just had Andrew.
Did shame to do what? You don't think I can't figure who the fuck you are, asswipe?
Yeah, like really, this is your hobby to go onto a semi-comedy show because like we hide our information through comedy. Like, are we that important? Obviously, you get flack over target, and it's like, Oh, I said an anagram for ginger in chat. Oh, well, I'll have to lie down. I'm hurt.
Well, the thing
I'm
is,
giving up.
I like we had two that erupted. It took them an hour and 40, an hour and 50 minutes. We actually had to sit and listen through the whole fucking show.
Yeah. It's the Jim Carrey effect. Later on, it's like, wait a minute.
So Jamie's pendulum has 40% chance of McCarthy getting in. So yeah, I'm curious on that because how did
Jamie's pendulum has made her vote. My vote is that they make a parliamentary deal and go to the Democrats, and the Democrats cross the aisle and override the Republicans. And if that does happen, it is going to be a disaster of 2023. It is.
But that's what as I said earlier in the show, if he gets in, it will implode in an ugly way. So I'd rather he didn't, to be honest. But if he does, we're about to see an accelerated version of cleanup. But as with any cleanup, there needs to be disaster first. Right,
there needs to be disasters first. And I just want to say, we got two trolls to waste their Friday nights. We did our job.
And got material out of it.
Too.
Well, one of them said, like, why are you sweating? It's Australia in summer. You sweat here. That's what it is.
That happens.
Yeah.
I've turned the fan on. Ah, dear me.
Yeah, me too. So, that's why I disappeared just before I had to turn the fan on. It's pretty hot.
These cutting jibes to bring me down. You seem to be perspiring, my good man. In 30-degree heat.
It's 40 degrees Celsius outside. We are hot.
Yeah. Don't you have air conditioning down there?
Yeah, but
that's why I just
electrical
turned on.
prices. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you sparingly, and also, you're a lazy time lord. Yeah, this land gets into you. Like Aboriginals didn't evolve. It's like, no, they figured it out tens of thousands of years ago. It was like, this works, and stayed like that forever till the white man turned up. Like, yeah, it works. That's right. They didn't invent the wheel. They didn't need to. They could actually sit around a campfire, do ceremony, and then in 30 seconds they're 200 miles away because they know how to not bilocate but travel through frequency and stuff like that. They're very spiritual. Like even there's certain rocks here, if you know what you're doing, is like an iPod. That's been created in electronics, but they would have rocks that have information, and it's of course in 1788 none of those English people, gods and Englishmen type would have any idea what they're talking about, because all that type of knowledge would have been wiped out with, say, the Celts and everything else like that. Like we were talking about the Bible earlier. One thing that they removed was reincarnation, because that gives, you can't have total control. You've got one life and you have to prove yourself so you can get into heaven. If you've got reincarnation, it's like, well, if you mess up here, you've got the next one to do it. You know what I mean?
Also,
and so
they don't have everlasting hell as the torture to hold over you.
Yes, exactly. Now, like, hell doesn't exist. Well, it does, because in this universe, a lot of people believe it is, and they've actually brought it into existence. I think I was watching the making of Life of Brian, which is fascinating if you're a Monty Python fan, because they did a lot of research for that movie, and they realized how, like what we're talking about, how much of it is just made up. Like, I think hell was invented in the 12th century to try and control people. Yeah, and it's like, well, so the existence of hell as a realm, as a thought form, where people, if you believe that much, it just goes straight in, is only 800 years old. So where did this Satan chap come from? And where did he go after he got kicked out of heaven? Which I still point out, no one has done a very good story of, apart from Paradise Lost, which I haven't read yet. That's the only story of Satan getting kicked out of heaven. They only allude to it. Like, you think one of the greatest stories in history, allegedly, you would have that being made like when in the 50s with Ben-Hur and the 10 Commandments and everything. You would have the war in heaven, and where Lucifer is removed from, told to piss off by God. Nothing.
Well, it's a spin-off, isn't it, from the whole story of Hades?
Yes,
it comes out
it's
of,
a copy
comes
of
out
Hades,
of Greece,
but done in a different way. Yeah.
That's right. Except the Greek mythology is way better. The story of Persephone, the stories of that's way more interesting, isn't it? It's like,
I don't know. I'm a bit worried about like Greek women saying, "Oh, you're pregnant, but my husband hasn't been here for 12 months." Oh, Zeus came down as a duck. And like Zeus turns into an animal and has sex with all these women. I think that's just a way for the women not to get stoned to death for adultery.
kind of different. Okay.
Until I'm proven wrong, that's my theory. Really, like why I don't know. Dave keeps going over to everyone's houses, and then 9 months later they're having all these children, but it's Zeus turning into an animal.
Yeah, and then Dave has to pay all the child support.
If he survives,
if he survives the stoning,
like the whole thing, like immaculate obsession with Mary is like Joseph's like, I didn't touch her, and like, right. Let's go back, like Jesus not being married. If he's a rabbi 2,000 years ago, he would be fucking married because he would be an oddball being a single man at the age of 30.
That's right.
It's like, what the fuck's wrong with that guy? Like, makes a great coffee table, but and where's that, ladies and gentlemen? Where are the artifacts? If he was a carpenter, there should be something still around.
Right.
And do you think when oh no, I've got to being a carpenter, been nailed to a cross? Do you think he would have said like, this joint's terrible?
Yeah.
Good old Jesus. Well, think back to the time when he entered the temple and he flipped a table. He flipped a table. And he, good old Jesus getting in there and flipping the table. He probably did it going, these dovetails suck.
These dovetails suck, exactly. Who the hell taught these guys to build tables?
Well, even
who the hell taught them how to build crosses, too?
That's right. Look at this cracked furniture in here.
Even in the Jesus story, everything was fine till he messed with the money, and then a week later he's nailed to a tree. And like that there's a metaphor, is that the right word? Allegory. It's like, don't mess with the money because we will destroy you.
Yes. All right, guys, we are at the end of the show.
I agree with Sarah. I'm with Sarah. Jesus was a player. I agree. He's a legend.
He's a legendary player. Anyways, guys, we are at the end of the show. Melissa, any last words you'd like to have?
No, look, it's great to be back. It's great to see you all again. We've missed you as much as you may have missed us. If you need to find me, I'm too easy to find. You can find me on social everywhere, Melissa Hocking-Hughes. You can also go to the website if you have to. It's not the best place to go at the moment because we're in the middle of changeover, but melissahockinghughes.com will take you there as well.
Monty, give away for people to get a hold of you.
I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook just as Monty Dean, and I'm on Twitter and Facebook is Wafer Thin Entertainment. I also have Wafer Thin Entertainment on Rumble, where I put up videos here and there. And on Australia Day Eve, I will be in Mooney Ponds going to an emo night for someone's party.
Okay, good share.
All right, you guys know who I am.
Catherine just quoted the Monty Python Wafer Thin quote earlier for you.
Yes. All right, guys, you know who I am. You can go to my website, andrewbartzis.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and all those other places. We will be back with a comedy show in 2 weeks. I will be back on this coming Thursday at 2 p.m. EST. We might have changed it to 4 p.m. EST. I'm not exactly sure just yet. Anyway, we'll be back on Thursday for another incredible show with the Two Feathers group. All right, Joel, take us away.